So, questions. Are there any questions? I guess there are a lot. There was a lot of content, but I think it's amazing that we have all these companies just nearby doing all this amazing stuff around digital experience. Oh no, these are not questions. Oh yeah, there's a question.
Hello, thank you for the talks. I just wanted to ask a quick question about the chat bots that were used in the government applications. Was that similar to actually the chat bot from AA bot, which was presented, that ChatGPT-4 was behind it, or how is that regulated?
Yes, it's the same API for ChatGPT-4. And we also switched to Azure, to the Swiss solution as well, technically, so yeah.
And this is not a problem about some security issues? I'm not familiar with it.
No, it's all public information that's on the website. So it's all publicly available information. It really was just about making it accessible in a different way.
Very interesting, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I have a related question. I'm wondering, what are the user agreements, permissions that you request for analyzing actually the user inputs, prompts, that could potentially also contain some personally identifiable information, no?
You mean for the government one now? Yeah, that's yeah, that will come, because at the moment it's not. I mean, it's public, but it's not official yet, and it's basically nothing different to when you enter a search term in Google. It's the same rules apply as when you enter a search term in Google, and like analysis can be done on that. Yeah.
So actually, from IABOT side, we have a, let's say, security compliance component on the platform. And we are separating personal data, so probably somebody is entering the IBAN number or a name and address and so on, and we can identify over our semantic AI we have inside the platform, and we separate that, and we only send something to GPT which is compliant with the regulation, so no personal data is going up to GPT, and the agreement of GPT is that they use probably the data for 30 days, the storage, and you can have the disclaimer that they are not allowed to take the data you put in to train the language model. And we have a lot of banks and a lot of regulated companies, and they are very paranoid on this personal data stuff. So we have a pretty leveraged data security model inside the platform, because you have to manage GPT, and therefore we have the IABOT platform in front of the chatbot, the AI, and the robot model. We can separate that pretty well, actually.
I got a related question to you both, Luke, was it? Yeah. So you are using embeddings to make sure that the thing knows more than ChatGPT does. So it's all, that's how you do it, like you just embed it, or do you have to then search which documents, or you can throw it all information at it at once? How does that work?
We do it embedded, yeah. We embed it. So we use the, I don't know, you probably too, right? Or what do you
mean with embed? What do you mean with embedded?
Embeddings are these things that you basically pre-process documents with it, and then that's the basis of the information you can throw back at you. And as I understand, it's like you can throw at it a lot, but as soon as you have too much, it's somehow you have to have a traditional search to find the right documents to add. Like, it's very confusing.
It is not, for us it's actually not that much information. Imagine, like on the website, the most difficult bit was around understanding PDFs. So you know how governments work, right? They love putting stuff into PDFs. And so that was actually the biggest challenge, and that's why we went for that. Yeah, why we did that. So, and we never had the problem of it being too much yet, but that's because we completely separate the systems as well.
So at every question, all the information is present in the system to answer the question?
We are doing that, we are pre-processed question, and then our AI is pre-qualify the question and say, okay, in this area, there should be the answer, and then we give the prompt only with this content and this context, because the prompts are limited in terms of line items and so on, so you have to condense that, and we will then we will search for the area, we see the answer in this area, and then we give the prompt to GPT, because our view is GPT is very excellent in formulating cool text blocks, but you have to secure that he's going to on the right path, because probably he don't tell you the truth. So you have to secure that the answer is really compliant with what the company wants to say. And for example, there is public information you can use, but we have also information like PDFs and something which inside it, which is not on public spaces, and then you have to be secure that you give the prompt only with this area of text or PDF where the answer is in. And this is what our AI is doing. Before we give it to GPT, we make a semantic search and the classification and all that stuff you saw on the technical slide, and then we give it to GPT and say, now formulate a cool answer on this question with this content or in this context.
Yeah, hi. So I would have a question about the AI bot. So it seems like one part of your product is like a low-code solution for creating chatbots. So are you developing that by your own, or are you using like Power Virtual Assistant of Microsoft, and how, if yes, then how it would compare to that solution, as you anyways use the Azure Cloud?
Yeah, we have a history of about the company which I'm in is founded in 1968, so this is a company which is pretty old, and we were very engaged in customer service, and we have like IT support and all this outsourcing stuff made in the 80s here on Novartis campus. Ziba was a customer of this company, and we founded this startup iAbot out of this operation of this IT company, where we were dealing with customer service, because the topic was we want to increase the service quality and the service efficiency, and so we tried to digitalize it, and we made some tests in the former company in the 90s with AI in a very, very early stage, and this is the development out of that, and then we had an investor who said, hey, build a chatbot conversational AI solution, and they invested a lot of money to build that platform, and now it is it's very easy to use. A lot of our customers, you don't need to be a software developer to build chatbots. It's drag and drop, and as well as this workflow and AI engine, it's quite easy and compelling that a lot of value can create it at customers. And we took some language models and so stuff we integrated, but mainly this is developed by ourselves.
Okay, and so what would be your unique selling point against Power Virtual Assistant from Microsoft?
Yeah, we are easy to use and build. At Microsoft, this is a framework. We are a platform, and we said the framework is you have a lot of more possibilities. But from our side, we said, okay, 80 or 90% of the customer use cases we can implement easily. We implement this tool in some weeks productively, and we create value by this platform. And on the other hand, it is very easy for the customer service organization. You don't need the IT. I talked to a customer, a big telecom customer. They tell me, yeah, we have a bot, and now we have a group together with the call center people and the IT, and then we build some new stories and so on, and this lasts 4 weeks. And then I said, okay, but you need to create that in 2 hours, because if you have an issue and you have to push something to the people, to the customers, then you have to act very fast. And that's our goal: give people a tool in hand so they can build bots and on an easy way to help their customers to get their stuff very fast and easy.
Okay. Dann noch schnell eine Frage, ich bin ganz versteckt. Excuse me, it's two questions actually. One for Valentin, it's a quick one. On your last chart, did you happen to also take into account the latest developments around NVIDIA's new features on, yeah, so that's the curve?
Yeah, I mean,
because like, you know, what they just introduced like the last 2 months
yes.
is quite staggering, so I was wondering if the numbers already reflect that.
Yes, yes, exactly. I mean, the numbers, it's like a guess, an educated guess, to be honest. But absolutely, I mean,
because yours was pretty going, you know, well straight up, but I would say it's actually like, you know, actually vertical at the moment.
Yeah, it's vertical.
When you take into account what we have,
yes,
what impact
absolutely.
AI has there. So you
Yes.
would agree on that one?
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. All right, I got a second questions for the AI guys. 1 second. So over the last 6 months, when you intensely use OpenAI models, you would have seen with GPT 3.5 and specifically the one after that it becomes dull. So according to our tests, it's mainly because of the regulations, actually, because with each granular rule that you put on to a language model, it actually becomes stupid. So that's our take on it. What's your take on it?
Actually, what's really fun at the moment is when we look again at the prompts that people do. One of the most common prompts for the Zurich page is, how can I avoid taxes? Like, how can I pay less taxes? That's like one of the most popular questions. And so this obviously raises a lot of questions, because a lot of regulation also comes around these ethical questions, like how are we actually going to deal with this? What is a bot going to answer, or what is a chat bot going to answer to a question like that? So a lot of the regulation, we also felt it, but because we have a much smaller set of data, and because we're scraping, like we're individually scraping specific data sources that are coming into the model, we don't have... Exactly, we don't...
When you try to answer open questions, let's say like the creative part and that stuff, there it becomes really big.
Exactly, so when it's more experimental, or you know those typical questions around, give me some inspiration, right? A chatbot can give me really great inspiration for certain things, and that's not really, a lot of times that's not what you want from the government anyway, so. At least I don't expect it.
Yeah, we are looking at several language models. Our specialists are just looking at not only ChatGPT, there are a lot of language models in the market actually, and we are observing that. But from our side, we were in the chatbot business before ChatGPT, and now this hype is everything great, and we have a lot of interest from our customers. But actually, we want to solve problems from the customer. If the customer has a question to a company, we want to solve it in a direct way, and if it is an open question, then it's okay, but mainly 80% of the questions are structured ones. So I want to change my address, I want to know where my stuff is, I have a question to my invoice or something else. These are repetitive and structured questions where we can give a structured answer if we integrate an SAP or a CRM system or whatever. So this is the fast way, and then we have the area where the customer has an open question, he wants some consultancy, and he has a question which are not structured. And therefore ChatGPT gave us a very, very boost, because the first area we could process before ChatGPT, and now we have ChatGPT, and this is now the next stage. And we are very happy that we have that, but actually there are a lot of more possibilities. This is an emerging topic in the market, and so we are observing, and we are very open to all technologies, because our platform is low code and open, so we can integrate all these other systems and language models.
please. There's a question over there.
Hi guys, thanks for the interesting presentations. My name is Nathan Hornick. I have two questions. One is about using the large language models. Since Switzerland is a multilingual country and you're dealing with particularly governments, which probably have lots of data in multiple languages. And Tom, you mentioned you were integrating things like other translation tools like DeepL. Do you even need to do that? I mean, things like GPT seem to do a pretty good job of translation on their own. I mean, is that adding an extra step? And then also, have you developed any like strategies or learnings or anything about what do you do if you're pulling from data sets in multiple languages that might have conflicting data? That's the first question.
Oh, and the other one is also about AI, because
the other one,
it's a little bit monopolizing.
Yeah, it's a follow-up.
Is there any other question on some other topics in the room?
Yeah, I mean, the other question is more about liability. So if I go to the government website and I ask a question and I get an answer and I screenshot it and then I go out and do something that I was told I was allowed to do and then I get a fine, can I go to court and win? Say the government told me I could do this?
That's why we're not live yet. Exactly because of that. Because it would work, right? We could already offer this chatbot now to Basel and they could use it, but that's exactly the reason why this is not going to go live yet, or is not live yet. Because they're scared or they're afraid of exactly those cases. There's a lot of discussion around this. When you publicize information on the web, yes, people do take screenshots and walk into your service center and say, but it says it here, which also explains why so much stuff is on the web, because they want to have all these cases. And yes, that's mainly the reason, and that's why I said quality control. Next step, or the biggest step at the moment, is the quality control, because we won't be able to go live next year when we launch the new website with this integration unless we have the right quality control.
Okay, maybe briefly on the language part, and then we have done this question.
Yeah, actually we integrated DeepL to translate the chatbot stories on one click. If you generate the story and you say, okay, first is hello customer, and then second the story, you can translate it in all these languages you like to. That's the DeepL integration mainly, not to translate the answer from DeepL in another language.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm sure you can then, in the networking, dig deeper into those questions. But maybe we have on the other topics that were presented some questions. I'm just wondering. Here's one, yeah?
This is just for anyone. I was wondering, what skill set would you say you're an expert in, and what is one concept you could teach us that most people don't know about?
Interesting question, thank you. So where will you start? Here, Luke. What is your skill set?
I don't have any, I just get shit done, and don't overthink it. 80-20 rule actually works, and you know what, you'll fail 100 times over and one time you'll make it, so just get shit done.
Well, so you mean skill set in like what we did before, or?
Anything you're
Okay. Well, I would guess because of my studies, I know like programming languages, for example Dart and Kotlin for developing mobile apps. Yeah, and also, for example, my minor was like in design, so I guess I also got a little expertise in UI and UX.
Oh, are we all doing? I thought it's okay. I would say mine is probably user research, looking at users and actually understanding what they need. And my biggest kind of thing that I want everyone to do, or what I think is the biggest thing, is observe your users, don't listen to them.
I don't want to cut out, I don't mean to be rude, I have a pregnant woman at home, and I'm going to run. You'll find me online, Luke Richner, on wherever you want to find me. I'll be very happy to answer any questions into the future. Thank you very much for having me, and please continue around.
I'm a musician, composer, consultant, lecturer, artist and entrepreneur, and this gives me a nice mix to work with new ideas. And yes, my experience is like, don't be afraid of failures, so stand up.
I would say my biggest skill set is like being a spatial sound architect, content-wise and also technically.
I have an engineer's background, and I would say I'm very good in misusing technologies in creative ways. And quite a couple of times I was able to use it in a way that it's really magical.
Yeah, I'm not a technician. I'm pretty well experienced in building up stuff like companies or music festivals. I'm the organizer of Bike Days Basel, probably somebody knows that. It's a motorcycle and music festival here in Basel. Every year took place, and yeah, we built it up together with my wife from scratch. And same in IABOT. And my biggest passion is to explore all these different worlds. This is a motorcycle world, which is pretty different than AI and chatbots and IT and all that stuff. But the fascinating kind is, or element, is to create new stuff and bringing people together, fascinating people, and create customer value. At the end, this is all about in life, I guess. So.
Very good. Felt almost like an end round, but let's see if there is another question. Yes, please.
Tough luck, my question was for Luke Richner.
Okay.
Find him online.
Other questions? Everybody wants to have a beer, I guess.
One question.
Okay, please.
Can I quickly ask a question for Tiziano? I was wondering just why didn't you choose a more modern design for your pod? Because I was just wondering.
So the pod itself or the app? Okay, because our company wasn't really involved in like designing the pod. We were more like involved in the technical part, Bluetooth communication and also the app. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yes. So one question before, one last remark before we then go into the networking. So I have some couple slides that show you the next things coming up. But please give your badges if you go out, leave them there, right? On the table. Okay. Yes. Okay. Then. So thank you very much. You will stay around. So please then. Yes.